All right, all right, all right. Here I'm going to be going over each question that you have to do in class. So if you want to follow along with me and do all of them, that's fine. If you don't and just want to check your work and look at the end, that's fine. Whatever you might want. That's my name. Here we go. First one. Whoa. Ah, it's freaking out at me. So first thing you have to do is solve for y. So when I look at my very first equation, first I'm going to have to subtract or add over the 6x, and then I'm going to have to divide by 2. So just because of time purposes, this is what that equation would look like once I added 6x and then divided by 2. So this gives me a positive 3x plus 1, actually 2.5. Because 5 divided by 2 is 2.5. So this first one, I'm going to draw in green. So my y-intercept for this first one is this right here, is 1. My slope is 3. My y-intercept for this one is 2.5. My slope is 3. Now when you have the slopes the same, you have to be careful. You have to watch what you're doing, because either you're going to have just a sliver in between them, or else you're going to have a no solution. We'll see what happens. So this first one is green. My y-intercept is a positive 1, so I go to my y-axis and plot positive 1 here. And then on my slope is a positive 3, so I go up 1, 2, 3, and over to the right 1. Up 3, over to the right 1, or I can go down 3 to the left 1. And when I look at this equation, it has a straight line underneath it, so it's or equal to. So it's going to be a solid line. And it says its y is greater than, so I'm going to shade on this side. Now, one thing when you're doing shading, it might help you if one of the two are kind of different colors. Also, it might help you if you don't shade too much or shade lightly. So the second one, my y-intercept is 2.5. So I'm going to go up 2.5 would be right here, roughly, in blue. You can see that. My slope up 3, so I'm going up 1, 2, 3 over 1. Or I can go down 3 over 1. And when I look at this one, well, it's a dotted line. This one's a dotted line. My lines are not that straight. They're much better on my answer key. It says y is less than, so right here. And if I had better lines, I'd be able to see this better. But it looks like these two are shading right down and overlapping right here in the middle. So this right here would be my answer. Right in between those two would be my answer to that problem. Next one. Again, first you have to do is solve for y. So you have to get y by itself first. So this, I'm going to subtract my x and then divide by 2. So it would be y is less than or equal to, it would be a negative 1/2 x, and then 10 divided by 2 would give me a positive 5. So solving for y. If that part is frustrating or confusing to you, you're going to have to come in for some extra help, because that is a lot of review right there. And the second one, y is less than or equal to, I'm subtracting the x, so negative x plus 3. So my first is up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right here. And my slope is a negative 1 over 2. So I can go down 1 to the right 2, down 1 to the right 2, or I could go up 1 to the left 2, because I can choose where I want that negative, if it's either with the top number or with the bottom. It's a solid line because it's or equal to. And when you're doing these shadings, you should draw the whole line across the whole graph. And it says it's y is less than, so it's shaded below. And then my blue is up 3, 1, 2, 3, and my slope is a negative 1. So down 1 to the right 1. So I could keep on going down 1 to the right 1, or up 1 to the left 1 if I wanted my negative with the other. Up 1 to the left 1, right here. And that's also a solid line. And says y is less than. Sometimes I've had people draw their lines of shading in different directions. Maybe that will help you. But when I'm looking at this, it looks like using my green line here and then my blue line, this right here is my answer. Everything below this. Using my green line first and then using my blue line. Next one, solving for y first. So let's get the y by itself. Now I'm going to add over the x and then divide by a negative. Divide by a negative will flip that sign. So it would add over the x, divide by a negative would give me a negative x. Add over the x, divide by a negative would give me a negative 2. In my second equation, it would be y is greater than, I have to add over my 2x plus 1. So my first equation, I have negative 2, so my y-intercept is down 2. So here's my negative 2. My slope is a negative 1. So down 1 to the right 1, down 1 to the right 1, or I can go up 1 to the left 1, up 1 to the left 1. Those are my two options there. So y is greater than, well actually first it has to be a solid line. Y is greater than, that would be shading above, because it's greater than. Second equation, my y-intercept is at a positive 1, and my slope is 2 over 1, so up 2 to the right 1, because both of those two are positive. Or I could go down to the left 1, because that would still give me a positive 2. When you have a negative over negative, that still gives me positive. This one is dotted, because there's no line there. It says y is greater than, so shaded above that blue line. And then when I'm looking at this, when you're looking for your actual answer of where they overlap, sometimes it's easier if you start with one line. So like looking at my blue line, I wait until I see where they cross each other and then turn it around to follow that other green line. So this is my answer, where it's shaded in between. Next one. So I have to solve my second equation for y first. So when I solve my second equation for y, I'm going to subtract my 2x and then divide by a negative. Subtract my 2x and then divide by a negative. Subtract my 2x and then divide by a negative. And as you can see, when I divide by that negative, it flips my sign. See how it flips my sign? My first equation, I don't have anything. This is like a plus 0. So my y-intercept is at 0. So there's my y-intercept. My slope is down 2 to the right 1. Down 2 to the right 1. Oops, that last one. Down, actually, darn it, anyway. That's right. Down 2 to the right 1. Down 2 to the right 1. Down 2 to the right 1. Or I could go up 2 to the left 1, because that would be negative. Up 2 to the left 1. And it's dotted because it's just greater than, nor or equal to, so it's just dotted. And it's greater than, y is greater than. The next one, down 2, so negative 2. And my slope is a positive 2 over 1. Positive 2 over 1. Or I could go down 2 to the left 1, because again, that's still a positive number. It's a solid line. And it says y is less than, so I'm shading below. So where it crosses, if I follow my blue line first, so if I follow this blue line right here, and I wait till I see the green line, and then I turn my direction, this is my answer, where the two colors cross each other. Next, so solving for my equations first, I'm going to subtract my 2x. So y would be less than negative 2x plus 1. And my second equation is already by itself, so I go up 1 right here. My slope is down 2 to the right 1 because it's a negative 2. Or I could go up 2 to the left 1 because it's a negative 2. It's dotted because there's no or equal sign. Next equation, up 3, down 2 to the right 1, down 2 to the right 1. The slopes are the same here again. So this one's also going to be dotted, or I can go up 2 to the left 1. Dotted, 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 dotted. And this one says y is greater than, so I'm going to shade above. Now when I look at this, I don't see any colors crossing. They'll never cross each other. So this would be a no solution. Next equations. Already has y by itself. So first one, y is 3. So when I just have one variable, and I have just one number, I go to wherever that number is. So in this case, y is 3. Here's where y is 3, right here. And the tick mark for y goes left and right. So the line for y goes left and right. So this is the equation of y equals 3. But it says it's an inequality. It says shading y is less than. So this is where y is less than 3. And the other one, I go up 1. And my slope is a positive 1 over 2. Positive 1 over 2. Or else I can go down 1 to the left 2. It's a straight line. Y is less than, so right here. So my answer, if I follow this blue line, wait until I see the green line, right here. It's everything in between here. And you don't, oh. Alrighty, next one. Y is greater than 4. So first I go 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's where y is 4. That tick mark goes left and right. This one should be dotted, because there's no line underneath, because it's not or equal to. So this one's a dotted straight line left and right, because we have y. And it says y is greater than. Here's where y is getting larger. Now I have a v. I have my v here. You can use your table on your graphing calculator if you want to. So my vertex here would be right 1, and I do not move up or down. So here's my vertex. And then if you use your table, you should be able to find these other points. My other points from your table, remember, go to y equals, then you go to second graph to get to your table. It also is a dotted line because of the fact that there's no equal to. Oh, that turned a little solid right there. It says y is less than. So here we go. Now with my v's, it's always a little bit different. So if I start at my blue line here, this is where they definitely are overlapping. And there's overlapping over here too. So this would also be a solution. Wherever they overlap is a solution. Overlapping is a solution. So those are my two answers for that one. Next one. First I have to solve for y. So this one I'm going to have to get my y by itself. So this equation would be y is less than, it would be negative 1/3 x minus 1/3. Now when you're graphing this by hand, for the sake of easy graphing, you could say that that's really close to 0, but I'm going to try to get a negative 1/3 because that's my y-intercept, 1/3. But when you are doing the slope and you go down 1 over 3, you can try to just make it so it's 1 box over 3. If it's not on the 1/3 spot, down 1 over 3, that's going to be okay. Or up 1 over 3, up 1 over 3. This one's a dotted, 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 dotted. It says y is less than, so I'm shading below the line. And another absolute value, so I look at this vertex. This is going to move it to the left 1, and no up or down, so left 1, so it's right here. And then I have, again, I could use my table, and I would get these points if I use my table on my graph. So you go to y equals, plug in your equation. If you're not sure how to get your absolute value, you go to math, arrow over to number to get your table. Ooh. This one, y is less than or equal to. So really, when I'm looking at this, it's everything below. And it would be really everything underneath the green, because that's all really they shade is overlapping. Next, I have y by itself. So here's where y is negative 2. It should be dotted, 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 dotted. Y is greater than, so it should be above. And then my vertex here would be in right 3, and I do not move up or down. So right 3, don't move up or down at all. And if you used your table, here are your other points that you would find. And when I'm looking at this, it should be a solid line. So it's solid, and it says y is less than. So it's going to be below that v. Now this one's kind of tricky because it's going to be just this triangle. That's key. You're going to have to be able to find the shapes sometimes that the problem has. Next, you don't have to do this one. Next. First I have to solve for y, get that y by itself. So I'm going to divide or subtract my 2x. So I have y is less than or equal to negative 2x plus 3. And this one would be y is greater than absolute value of x plus 3 plus 2. My first equation, go up 3, that's my y-intercept, up 3, and my slope is down 2 to the right 1. Down 2 to the right 1 or up 2 to the left 1? Up 2 to the left 1. It's a solid line, solid, because it's or equal to. It says y is shaded below because it's less than, so it's below the line. And my vertex for this would move left 3, up 2. Left 3, up 2, so right here. And if you put this into your calculator and get your table, you would get these other points that I'm plotting right now. Here are your other points for this graph. Sometimes it's nice to have a bunch of points. And it's going to be dotted because it's not or equal to. So there's no line. And it says y is greater than, so I'm shading above my graph. So where the actual solution is, where they both overlap, would be right in between here, right here. And it slowly gets larger. And last one, we're having so much fun. I know you're like, oh my gosh, it's my last one. I'm so sad. But yep, all good things must come to an end. My y is already by itself for this first one. My vertex is going to be right 1, up 1. So right 1, up 1. And again, if I plug this into my calculator, I'll get these other points in my table. These other points in my table. If you're unsure how to get the table, I'm sure someone around you knows how to do it, so you should be asking. And it's dotted, 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 dotted. And it's greater than, so I'm going to shade above. Second one, my vertex, we move it to the right 3, up 4. Right 3, up 1, 2, 3, 4. So right here. And again, if I put this into my calculator, these would be the points I would have. And this one is solid. It says y is less than. So it's shading below the graph. So when I'm looking at this, where do they overlap? It would be this little itty bitty guy right here. So if you've been following along, actually listening, you might have heard something in the background. It's great music. If not, here, I'll turn it up for you, because I just love this so much. So you have a great, grand, wonderful day. Keep smiling.